Jess, you guys made a push in the second half, not quite able to get it done, but what do you guys take away from tonight's game?
Yeah, I think, we should probably be proud of, how we battled back. But we pride ourselves on good starts, and, we weren't able to accomplish that tonight, and they kind of ran away with it. And, it's a big stretch to come back from 7 goals. So I'm proud that we made a push back and we showed a little bit of resiliency.
How were you guys able to get back into it in that second half?
We just got back to what we do best. We play fast, we play hard, and, we get to the middle of the floor offensively. I think in the first half we were just like so methodical and a little bit slow, and credit to them, like they played physical on the back end, and they kind of made us play that way. So we let them dictate a little bit, and then the second half we were kind of like, okay, like now we go where we want to go instead of letting them push it around a little bit.
How did you feel about Marcus Claridge's play tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Marcus thrives in those fast, environments. When he's playing fast and he's getting in the middle of the floor, he's so dynamic of a player. I'm really proud of him to kind of get what he's been coming to him for a little while now.
Was the start of tonight's game maybe a bit of lactic acid buildup? You guys had those 3 games in 8 days.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely tough, but it's not an excuse for us. When we get to the playoffs, we're going to have to do that exact same thing. So we're going to have to figure out a way to rebound and play a little bit better in those scenarios.
Was it more of a challenge getting the mind right, or just getting the body right, playing 3 games in that short span?
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a body thing. Obviously we had those 3 games, but we've been on 12 weeks straight or 11 weeks straight here without a weekend off. So it's a battle. It's that middle part of the season when we break it up into 6 games to start, 6 games in the middle, 6 games in the back end. So we had a really good middle spot, and then to start our end of our season here, we kind of maybe juggled one a little bit tonight. But we get our 8 days here to get ready for Georgia.
What were some of the challenges that Toronto presented defensively?
They're just physical. They packed it in. Rosie's first game back, he's pretty hyped up to be in the net. So I think they were able to clog those shooting areas or clog the middle of the floor where we like to get. So made it more difficult for us.
And what was the conversation like on the bench to get more motivation out onto the field?
I think it's just a mindset thing, instead of, looking up at the scoreboard and seeing it as a detriment, we're down by 7 goals, just, play 5 minutes at a time, try and get 3 and win that 5-minute segment. If you do that, like we started our second half really strong, we started to battle back a little bit, and then, we lost a 5, and then we won another 5. So it's a game of runs.
And then what kind of mindset are you guys going to bring into your game next week against Georgia?
Biggest thing is getting the bodies right. We got probably the longest break we've had in a little bit of while here, so get the bodies right. We got a big weekend of travel. A lot of us are from the West Coast. It's a long way to go, so just getting your bodies right and prepared to go.
Yeah, so you get yourself down like that, the whole team. Christian puts a lot of extra pressure on himself. What was his mindset at the half?
His mindset?
Yeah, because I know he takes this really personal. He really does. Because he's told us that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a question for Christian. I think for us, I don't need to tell him what to do. He knows what he needs to do. For us, it's more focusing on what we need to do better offensively. Obviously, our first half was pretty poor, and then, we kind of fired it up in the second half a bit. So if we were able to do that a little bit earlier, we might have had a little more success.
Coach, you guys bounced back in that second half, but weren't quite able to get it done. It kind of felt like you just ran out a bit of time there. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, I think so. I think, tale of 2 halves. I thought we were really sloppy in the first half. We missed the net, I think, over 20 times, which is absolutely unacceptable. And then we only missed the net 8 times in the second half. So you want to kind of keep it below 20 for an overall game. So that was the tough part about that. And then we cheated a couple times at our back end. I thought that hurt us. I think they scored a couple in transition, so that's part of changes. And then there was probably a couple that Delbs would tell you he wants back. But, I did like the resiliency. I like the pushback. And then at the end, we just had some chances that didn't fall. Nikki Rose played really well. And, if we play them again, then hopefully we get a different result. But that's, they played well. Full marks to them.
5 goals from Marcus Claridge tonight. Heck of a game by the young guy. How did you feel about his game?
He played very well. He got to the middle of the floor. He played tough. And, I'm pretty hard on that kid. I really am. It's only because I love him. And I think he's a great kid. And he's got a lot of potential. And tonight he showed it. And, it wasn't just flogging the ball from the outside. It was getting right to the dirty areas, the middle of the floor. And that's a physical defense. And he got to the middle and he finished well. And especially in and around the crease, he's clutching in there. So hopefully the biggest thing for a young guy is consistency. So hopefully he takes that effort and that jam and brings it to Georgia with him because he played exceptional.
What do you want to see from your group next week?
minimize the turnovers. I think we got to hit our shots or execute. Like our process was good. Maybe it was just too much of saying, hey, stick to it, but we just weren't executing at certain times. And, I think our guys got a little bit frustrated, and then we're squeezing our sticks a little bit, and then they get one going the other way. And, they got two other two goals off the face-off. Those are backbreakers. So that was big Rowlett's goal. And then, Kelleher or whatever his name at 37, a big, strong boy. He scored a nice goal off the face-off too. So we can't have those kill us. So clean up the mistakes that are within our control. I think that's a good place to start. I think early in the game we were trying to get momentums over the top. I thought the ball was too high. We made adjustments at the half to get the ball down low and get their defense turning a little bit. I think that seemed to work, but sometimes Nicky played well. He hadn't played in 8 weeks and he had something to prove. And he's a phenomenal person and a great goaltender. And I think he was a big part of giving them that comfortable lead. And then when we tried to push back, he made some big stops. And and that Dubs had a great second half. So for him to run all those miles, 200 feet up back and forth, man, super proud. And I'm like, you want to switch? He goes, no, man. And he just went back and forth and did it. So, I love that heart and resiliency from Delps.
How challenging was it playing 3 games in 7 days?
It's super hard, but at the end of the day, the way I look at it is if, I don't know where we're going to end up in the standings, but I can only speak from last year's experience. We had to play Saturday, Monday, and then we had to come back. Would have to go back to Buffalo. So the analogy was we played Friday last week, we played Sunday. So you're looking at a 2 or 3 series. You're going to play the last game, of the series and potentially could have been here. So we've been checking a lot of boxes and doing a lot of good things during the season that lessons are learned from. And I think this lesson's learned that we didn't get that done. So let's hypothetically say we lost one last week. We had a chance to close it out. We did. So, it's something that we'll remember and something that we can, if we do continue to battle hard down the stretch and get that opportunity, we can learn from.
And then tonight was Women in Sports Night. Can you talk to me about how important it is to have women and girls, not only in the sport of lacrosse, but all across sports?
Yeah, I think it's super cool. We had that little media thing where our guys gave a shout out to women in sport. It was kind of heartwarming. Some of them talked about their sisters and stuff like that. And my heart goes out for our Canadian women's hockey team. That unfortunately didn't, but they played really hard. And I was with Team Canada in Ithaca earlier, and I was super impressed how good our Canadian national box team was. The women were unreal, and they played really well, and their skill level is great. And I know I've seen the attendance at the hockey down at the Coliseum. It's pretty cool. So they're a big part of our culture, our community, and it was a kind of a special night to honor them. And I thought it was really well put on by our organization.